So for this video, we are talking about student engagement, and before I show the videos of me teaching, I actually want to talk just a little bit about what's going on outside of the actual videos you're seeing so you can understand why the engagement is important. So I'm going to start with math centers, and math centers in general are actually a lot more geared towards student engagement than a lot of other things we would normally do in math, because students are doing activities that are led at their own pace throughout the entire time. So, for example, when they are on their iPads, they are usually doing games that move at their pace. When they are doing desk work, they are doing something that's a review, so it's not something that's new that they're having to do on their own. And then another one of the stations would be playing games on the carpet, and those are games that are from every single chapter we've done throughout the year. So they can really pick anything that they want to do, whether it's something they're really strong in or something they're wanting to practice and learn more about. So when they come back to the teacher table, that's really the point where we're working on the hardest part of the lesson, maybe for that chapter, but especially for those few days. And we do something to make that concept more concrete for them so that they're not struggling to learn it. So the video that you see from Math Centers is where we took something that was very hard for students to grasp because it was so outside of their box, and we took something tactile, which in this case was the cubes, to make it more understandable for them. Okay, ready? 4 bugs and 4 more bugs. 4 bugs and 4 more bugs. Show me, part whole. 4 bugs and 4 more bugs. Show me my 2 parts.
4 bugs and 4 more.
Sure, you just snap it.
Ow.
And then figure out your answer. Write your answer down here. Boys and girls, you don't have to fill in the hole right now. Just do the part, and then fill the answer in on the line. So Molly, you don't need to do that right now, hon. Just write the answer on the line.
That was easy. I'm not showing you my number.
So Polly, I need to see this part, hon. Part, whole. What's your answer?
8.
8. Okay, are you ready for the last one?
Yep.
4 fish and 2 more fish. Show me your parts. 4 fish and 2 more fish. Gives me how many fish? Don't say the answer out loud. 4 fish, Sakali, and 2 more fish. Ready? You need 2. You have 2 right here. Show me. Okay, I'm going to ask for the answer in 5, 4,
6.
3,
Nope.
2, 1. Molly, what's the answer? 6. Good. Okay. Here's your next sheet.
We have to clean up our
Nope, leave your box. We're going to use them again. Here you go.
Let's have to clean up.
Here's your next sheet. Okay, are you ready for your next one?
Yep.
Listen. Show me the parts. 5 dogs and 4 more dogs. Show me how you would do that. 5 dogs. Okay, so this video is a little bit more unique than usual because I actually combined 2 lessons. The main things that I teach are math and reading. So I wanted to show how I'm doing and involving student engagement in both of those subject areas rather than just using one. So, in some of these videos, the kids are similar or sometimes the same child because they need pulled for more intervention and engagement things. So in math, we were trying to make something that was more abstract, more tactile for the students. In reading, they're pulled and they're engaged for a different reason. But again, first I want to talk about what the other students are doing that aren't at the back table. So for reading, we actually use Lucy Calkins' reading workshop series. So the students that aren't at the back table, a few of them are pictured in these photos, and they spend about 30 minutes silent reading where they work on a skill or a strategy that we learned that day. And then the other students will come back to my table for various times. So when these specific students that you're about to watch in the video came back to my table, that was during silent reading time. So the problem then, as you notice in the video, is they do have to get told to be quiet a little bit more often because the other students have to be able to focus on their silent reading. However, I do still pull a group towards the end of reading time, and for the last 15 minutes, students actually do partner reading. So in these photos, these students are actually partner reading, where they take turns reading to each other. And again, they're practicing the skills they've just used, but this time they're practicing it with somebody else. So that's what's going on with the reading outside of these actual centers. Now, when I pull students back for student engagement, we do a variety of different things. Sometimes we play games, sometimes we do group read alouds, sometimes I pull one student back so we can read together one-on-one. For this specific video, the students are actually playing Candyland, only it's sight word Candyland. So they draw cards that have certain circles that are certain colors, and they have to be able to read the sight word that's on the card before they can move on to the spaces. So they don't get to move unless they can read the word. So I have Candyland sight word, which is what we're playing right now, but the other game that we do play on occasion is Chutes and Ladders sight word. It's the same idea. Students are still only moving when they read the right words, but it's more varied in levels. We have levels from pre-K all the way to kindergarten, whereas this Candyland is pretty much just first grade level words. As you can see in the video, students are highly engaged though because it's a game, and I've come to see that they like practicing sight words a lot more when it's a game rather than when they're just reading them off a list, which really isn't all that surprising for first graders. Here we go.
You can see me really good.
Blue, green, red, purple.
Purple.
Okay, remember your color to put it on the start. I usually start on this end, so we're going to start with grin, okay? Alright, now make sure you pay attention, boys and girls, because... Oh, Cooper and Leighton, are you listening? Last time we played this, I had some kids who really had trouble on a few words, and then the word came back up later, and they couldn't say it because they didn't pay attention, okay? So make sure you pay attention. Alrighty, Bryn.
Oh, no fair.
Put, good. And that's green, the teal one.
That's easy.
Cooper, you don't get to say that.
Think.
Hmm?
Think.
Think?
Think.
Not think, it's not an I. What else could it be? What do you think?
In the early lead.
Okay, that's okay. We'll come back. That's think. Everybody, show Molly. Can you show them that card? Think.
Think.
Not think. People always think it's think, but it's think.
Oh,
That's a tricky one. Charity, go read. It's flattening out, hon. I'll give it to you later, okay?
Road?
No, this is another tricky one. I don't know. Okay, I'll help you on this one. Show everybody. Okay, OU says ow.
I know it
Round. Round. Everybody say that. Round. Yeah, some tricky ones.
Ask.
Red.
Why don't Brandon and Cooper get the easy one?
Just depends on what you draw, hon. Oh no, that's pink by Jiggo here.
Walk. Hey.
Yep.
I like pink. Oh no, Brandon's in the early lead.
Don't worry, there's still time.
Not. That's easy. Boom. It's easy.
Oh, never mind. Okay, what do you think, hon? Say it.
No.
What's AY say?
Oh, that's easy.
A. So what would the word be?
I want to spit it out. I want to do it.
What's the first sound? Huh, what's the first sound, hon? smash them together. Nay, there you go.
Man, I'm gonna.
Layton?
I don't know. I'm.
Oh, Layton, you're getting tough ones.
I know that one. Nope.
What do you think it is, Bryn?
Once.
Yeah, we'll come back to that one, Layton. I'll let you draw another one. That's a hard one. Okay, everybody look at this word because I'm going to put it back in there. That's once.
Oh, mine
Okay.
was the hard one.
Once.
Yours the
That is a tricky one. Okay, try again, Layton. Oh, look at the word, bud.
That's a big old. About.
What sounds O make?
O.
Okay.
Or
So, O.
open.
There you go. Don't just make up words, bud. Look at him.
Yes.
Cooper?
Pink. Yeah, that's one.
No, that's red, bud.
The color pink. Ask.
Good. Red, Cooper. Bryn?
Up here. So that's pink. Oh, come on. Thank. My wife.
Okay, so this is the point where I'm actually going to reflect on some of the lessons that I did. And I will be looking to the side some because I'm going to be using my notes. But basically, the first question that I need to address, it says, discuss how you planned for a high level of student engagement and then reflect on the actual level that students were engaged or disengaged in the lesson. So, excuse me, in math, I chose to use a hands-on activity because especially with the math that we're doing right now, we're just starting addition. And addition is really difficult for a lot of the students to grasp. So the idea behind this entire unit is to give them a bunch of different ways and tools to solve addition problems. So we've talked about adding 0 and how that doesn't change anything, just kind of to build up their confidence so that they know, okay, this addition I can do. But then we've taken it and we've talked about drawing circles, the number of circles that you need so you can count the circles. And the step that we were working on today was kind of a building block because we were working on using snap cubes, which is the engagement part, but then I chose to throw in the part-whole method because that's actually the next step in the unit. So the next step is then using part-whole to solve everything without getting to use the blocks. So I wanted to get them used to the part-whole charts. So that was kind of the idea, but the main engagement came from using the blocks, and then like I talked about a little bit earlier, from using actual centers, because the students love math centers. There's just kind of a stigma almost with regular math sometimes with some of them, so getting to use centers really gets them excited and engaged by itself, and so that was a huge deal. Overall, they were pretty engaged. And especially on the back table, using manipulatives rather than paper and pencil makes a big difference for those kids. Reading, we played Candyland, and as you can see in the video, the students get really into the game and they get very engaged. All of the students throughout reading time, this can't be seen in the video, but students are constantly asking to come back to the table because they know that back there you get to do something fun, and it's great because they don't a lot of times know that they're learning necessarily, but they're enjoying themselves. So the engagement is always really high. The only issue that I've come across with Candyland is that if it's not their turn, students aren't always fully engaged. And I'll talk about how to fix that, or how I plan to fix that, in just a moment. So the second question was to discuss challenges that arose related to student engagement. So math centers, the biggest distraction is that students are sometimes distracted by the other activities going on, because during reading, when they're pulled back, it's usually silent reading time, so there's not really anything happening. There's people reading silently. But during math, you have kids on iPads, you have kids playing games on the carpet, you have kids at their desks. So there's a lot happening. So I try to make sure I always redirect students as much as possible, but and that was done throughout this video. But the one big change that I plan on making, I'm going to discuss when I address question 3. But as far as in the lesson, I think the biggest problem was students would just get distracted, and so I worked on redirection, and part of that is constantly asking different students to give answers, because if they don't know when they're going to answer, they're naturally more engaged. That way they're paying better attention. Within reading, one of the girls in the group was lower than I originally realized, and so that was good for me to learn. But the words were just too hard for her in a lot of cases, and I wanted to make sure that she didn't get frustrated so that she was scared to come back. So I made sure, after she missed a few, I kind of guided her and assisted her in figuring them out. That way she could still move her game piece, because you can quickly see when they get discouraged because they fall behind. It's a game. It's obvious to see who's behind, and I didn't want that to happen for her. So I made sure to stay aware of that and help her so that she didn't fall too far behind. And then I stopped letting her miss turns. And then sometimes the students actually can get too competitive, which is, I mean, it's good that they're competitive, but it is just a game and the idea is to learn. So they know that if they brag too much or if they complain too much and pout when they lose, that they don't get to come back the next week and play. And that really, for the most part, takes care of it for most of the students. Knowing that they might not get to come back to the table is enough to keep them behaved. And then the third question we were supposed to address was how I'm going to change my approach in future lessons based on what I learned. So, within math, the biggest change that I would make in math, I love pulling and doing math centers because the students love it. I love using manipulatives because it helps the students. So I would actually make a change in one of the other centers. I would make the students the students on iPads use headphones, because I didn't make them do that during the lesson, and so there was other sounds in the room, and that's obviously a big distraction, and I just hadn't thought of it ahead of time. So the next time I do math centers, I'm going to make sure that all the other students are on headphones if they're on their iPads. Reading, what I'm going to do to help students pay attention when it's not their turn is to make them aware that they may be asked to say a sight word at any time, because if they may be asked to help a student, or if they know that I may pull a sight word that's already been used that someone missed, they're going to be a lot more alert. One of the other changes I would make is to move the girl who struggled so much to a lower group. I actually, like I talked about, I have the Chutes and Ladders games that have lower level sight words, but it's still a board game, so it's still fun and they still really enjoy it. And it doesn't feel, and it's not intended to be a punishment. And so it would just help her because she would be at students who are her level. And then once she builds that confidence and starts to learn some basic words, she can move back up to that next level.